Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Tonya, aka Monarch on the trail. And again, because I'm making this video right after I just made my last video, Zoby is still sound asleep on the bed, so I'm not disturbing him. He's snoring. That's how sound asleep he is. You might be able to hear him in the background. So anyway, I'm Tonya. My little white fluffball dog is Zoby. He's the real star of the show, but for now you have to listen to me. So I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. I have 10 Q&A about my upcoming CDT Sobo through hike. So let's get started. Number one, why the CDT? Most people, when they start with hiking the AT and they decide to move on to do another long distance trail, they move to the PCT. Well, for a couple of reasons, I'm not doing the PCT. One, I am more familiar with the CDT. I've actually spent some time hiking parts of the CDT in each state that it passes through. Hiked a lot in Glacier. Almost all of the CDT in Glacier I've done as day hikes or a backpacking trip. Through Yellowstone, the Tetons, have not done the Wind River Range. Excited to see that. So Montana, Idaho. Well, I'm not sure I've actually hiked any of the CDT in Idaho, but I have hiked in Idaho. Wyoming, Colorado. I've hiked quite a bit of the CDT. Well, you know what? I don't know. I've done a lot of 14ers, and I'm not sure how many of them, the trails to them overlap with the CDT, because it overlaps with the Colorado Trail, and yeah, I don't know. But I've hiked a lot in Colorado, so we'll just leave it at that. And then New Mexico, I did actually a small section hike in southern New Mexico, closer to the Mexico border, just this past Christmas. So I have a familiarity with it where I have never been to California, Oregon, or Washington. That was supposed to be this summer's travels in the RV, actually. I was going to be doing that. And then I decided to hike the CDT. The PCT, even going southbound this year, which technically I could be starting in like late June or July, just like with the CDT, you start around that time in Washington, going southbound on the PCT. I don't want to mess with the snow melt. I don't know if California is going to thaw out at all. So it's kind of a mess. Like the West Coast is kind of a hot mess right now. So CDT seems like a little bit safer option for 2023. So that's why I'm doing the CDT. Question number 2. Big question I keep getting from people. How are your feet doing? Are they going to be able to handle another long distance through hike? You said your plantar fasciitis got so bad on the AT, you didn't ever foresee being able to do another ultra long distance hike. And the CDT is the longest of the 3. So I did absolutely nothing for about 4 months when I got off the AT. Just a smidge of hiking in Colorado for like a week and a half. And that's it. I sat down, I wrote Zoby's book. And I didn't start hiking really until like mid to late January with any regularity. So, and I didn't walk, I didn't run, I didn't work out, I gained weight. Yeah, that sucks. My feet, I feel, really had a chance to heal because I didn't have to go back to a real normal 9-to-5 job where I was standing a lot, walking around. I didn't have kids I was chasing around. I wasn't active. Like I said, I wasn't working out, nothing. I just let my feet heal. So I've hiked a lot since January. Now, not consecutive 20+ mile days with 30 pounds on my back, but I have done some backpacking. I've done a lot. I think the longest day I've done was about 16 miles. And I feel a little bit of a dull ache here or there, but nothing at all like I experienced on the AT. The biggest thing going into the CDT now is I know I have a problem with Achilles tendonitis and plantar fasciitis where it wasn't a thought at all when I started the AT. So I'm going in armed with knowledge on, exercises and stretches and gear and the things that I need to be doing to try to alleviate that from happening again. Will it? I don't know, but I'm willing to try. I'm also willing to walk through some pain again. But honestly, if it gets as bad as it did on the AT, 500 miles in and I've got 2,500 miles to go, I may call it and make this a section hike you know, of the CDT and eventually the PCT, and forget the whole Thru-hike triple crown thing. But you know, I've worked on changing my shoes, my insoles, you know, stretching exercises, like all of that. So I will do that with gusto on the CDT. So that's that question. All right, number 3. So does this mean you're going for the triple crown? Well, kind of, I guess. Like I just said, I never had any intention of even thru-hiking the AT, let alone trying to become a triple crown thru-hiker. I just really felt called to do this. Like, I just decided, this is Memorial Weekend while I'm recording this, and I just decided to do this a couple of weeks ago. Like I said, I was planning to be in California, right now. I thought I was going to be in California. It's kind of a dumpster fire, like I was saying, on the West Coast right now. So the RV plans, finances, like all of that. I just started really thinking about, like, what else could I be doing with my summer, and fall? And I, like I did with the AT, I swear to God, I felt this, like, voice speak to me, thru-hike the AT. Well, like, the same thing happened. It was like, thru-hike the CDT. So I'm like, okay, well, let's look into the logistics of this, and looked into the logistics of it, and we're gonna do it. We're gonna thru-hike the CDT, or at least try to. All right. Number 4, is Zoby going? What about the national parks? All right, I'm gonna make a separate video on Zoby, service animals, and national parks. And I'll include into that video his gear. I've changed a little bit of his gear from the AT. Long story short, Zoby technically was a service animal while we did the AT. I just treated him like a normal dog. Multiple reasons for that. I'll get into that in the video. Since getting off the AT, I've been on 2 hikes now where I had panic attacks, which I have an anxiety disorder, and Zoby is now trained to be a medical alert dog and help me through panic attacks. And so I've realized that, you know, I need him with me, and I need, I'll get into this in the video, but I need to treat him like a service dog that he is. So service dogs are allowed in national parks. Glacier in particular, I know, has like a little training thing that you have to do to carry a piece of paper saying, like, you're aware of the, you know, threats or whatever, and you did this training, like, should a ranger stop me in the middle of the hike? So Zoby's gonna be going into the national parks with me on the CDT. I'm not doing the kenneling and stuff like I did on the AT. So he really is gonna do a thru-hike with me this time. All right, number 5. How long is the CDT? Okay, so in case you're not aware, the CDT is kind of referred to as the Choose Your Own Adventure Trail. There is, like, a red line on Far Out that is the, like, National Scenic Trail, but it isn't even really a trail. The CDT isn't complete. It isn't actually finished. So it's a lot of road walking, yay, a lot of connecting of various trails to make the CDT. And there's alternates everywhere, like, constantly through the CDT. Like, there's only like one red line section of the CDT for like a little bit on Far Out, and then there's like a purple line and a yellow line and a green line and a blue line and a red line. There's like all these alternate routes that you can take. So again, it's called the Choose Your Own Adventure Trail. So there's no set number of miles for the CDT. Like, the AT is down to the 10th. You know, it's a white blaze trail the whole way. And you know, when you're blue blazing or aqua blazing or whatever, like, the CDT is like, there's no blue blazing because the blue blaze is an alternate route. And like, so bottom line is approximately 3,000 miles is the length of the CDT. Some people have done it, you kind of track your own miles. So I'll be making my own, like, 100-mile markers and all of that. So some people said they've done it in as little as about 2,600 miles. And most people say between 29 and 3,000, and it could be as high as 3,100. There's even different terminuses, or termini. We'll look up which one is correct. There's 3 in New Mexico at the Mexican border. Most people go to Crazy Cook, which is what I'm aiming for. That's where, like, the monument you see most people at. And then there's 2 Canada. Chief Mountain, which is technically on the US side, so you don't cross the border into Canada, it's like on the international boundary. Or Waterton, which is actually 4 miles into Canada and is considered like the national scenic route of the CDT. And that's where you see a lot of northbounders end at, because that time of year it's clear sailing through that section of the CDT to get into Canada, starting late June, depending on snowmelt. The rangers may or may not allow you to camp along that route coming south from Waterton. My goal is to start in Waterton, actually 4 miles into Canada, and then end at Crazy Cook in New Mexico. And I will just decide which routes I want to take as I take them. Some of that's going to depend on weather. There's like lower elevation alternate routes to avoid, snow, thunderstorms, things like that are happening above tree line. Alternate routes due to flooding, if you have to go through like a river gorge area, things like that. So we shall see. Okay, so that was how long it is. How long will it take you? This is part 2 of that question. Approximately 5 to 6 months. I know it seems crazy that I can do it in the same amount of time as the AT when it's up to, maybe 800 miles longer. But there's a lot of it that's flatter, so you can do bigger miles. It sounds weird because you're at higher elevation, but like once you get up to a ridgeline, it's flatter, or like you get down, like I said, there's a lot of road walking. Like there's some areas that's like 30 miles of road walking. So people talk about how it's crazy, but you really can do bigger miles on the CDT than you can on the AT. So most people who have completed 1 or 2 of the other trails do the CDT in about 5 to 5.5 months. I'm planning 6. So I'm starting the end of June. I'm planning to finish, maybe sometime around Christmas. And if I finish sooner, great. 5 months would be around Thanksgiving, but probably between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We'll see. All right, so I've kind of answered this one. Are you going Nobo, Sobo? We're doing a flip-flop. Plan is to go Sobo, but with a couple of flips in it. There's a section in Wyoming called the Great Basin, which is flat and boring and has like very little water in the middle of summer. So on a Sobo hike, I would be hitting that at like the worst possible time to hike it. And all of the Sobo through hikers talk about how that is actually the worst part of their hike. Not the elevation, not these crazy scrambles or whatever, but like getting through the 120 miles of the Great Basin in the dead of summer. You got monsoon season, so there's lightning, electric storms all around you with absolutely there's nothing. It's the desert. There's no trees. There's very little water. You are just open plains, tumbleweeds and you. And these storms are coming at you and tornadoes and like crazy stuff. And then the heat, the oppressive heat when it's not storming and there's no shade and there's very little water. It dries up that time of year. They're talking like 35-mile water carries. So I'm doing the Great Basin first. I'm actually going out to South Dakota for my birthday next week. And I'm going to do some hiking around South Dakota and see national parks and Custer State Park and stuff like that, Mount Rushmore, all that good stuff. And then I'm going to hike the section, the 120 miles of the Great Basin. And so that technically will be the start of my through hike. Then I'm going to come back, make my final arrangements with the RV and stuff, fly back out to Montana and start the Sobo journey. The other thing I'm planning on doing is when I finish the Winds, which leads right into the Great Basin, which I've already done, I'm going to flip down to Colorado, to the Colorado-New Mexico border. And that should be mid to late August. And then hike northbound through Colorado back up to where I left off in Wyoming with the Great Basin. That'll be about 750 miles, I think, that'll hike northbound. Because the big pressure on a Sobo CDT through hiker is to get through southern Colorado. So you have to do all those 750 miles yet once you get through Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming, which is like 1,500 miles. So you have to get like almost all of the hike done by October when the snow starts to fly. That's a lot of fast hiking through elevation. So I decided, why not just flip and get that out of the way during, utilize the best weather window. The best time to hike in Colorado is like mid-August through September, because It's past monsoon season. You still may have a few here or there, but the worst of it is July and early August. And the snow typically doesn't start flying until October. You may have an early season snowstorm in September. So, and it's still wildflowers, and then you get to start seeing the aspens turn and all of that. So I'm going to utilize that weather window and flip. So there'll be a Nobo section in the middle of my Sobo hike, flip back down to the New Mexico-Colorado border, continue southbound to Mexico to finish the journey. All right, so that's that. Oh, is Stan going to do it too? No, he has no desire to thru-hike the CDT. He does, however, have a desire to thru-hike the Colorado Trail, and the CT and CDT overlap for like somewhere around 350, 375 miles. So he's going to come out and do definitely the Colorado portion of, or that part of the Colorado portion of the CDT with me. And possibly even meet me to do the Wind River Range in Wyoming. It'll probably be kind of last minute. We've talked about it. We have an approximate date set for me to get there and make this happen. So we'll see how that works out. So maybe the winds and part of Colorado with me. Any gear changes from the AT? Yes, actually. Not to my big three, although actually minor to my big three, but some other, particularly in clothing, some Zoby changes. So I'm going to do a whole separate gear video. I got a lot of videos to get done. And I'll get that posted soon too. I love this question. This has been one of the top questions, one of the first things people say. But aren't you worried about the Grizzlies? Aren't you worried about Zoby and the Grizzlies? Well, I'm no more worried about Zoby and the Grizzlies than I am Zoby and any other bear. I'm actually more worried about mountain lions than I am grizzlies, and mountain lions will be through the entire CDT. They exist from Montana through New Mexico. Yeah, those suckers will stalk you. It's creepy. Not gonna lie though, much more worried about grizzlies than I am black bears, and probably just because I have a familiarity with black bears, you know, having grown up hiking in the East. But I have hiked in grizzly country. Like I said, I've hiked in Montana, Idaho, Wyoming. I've hiked with Zoby in those areas. I'm not as concerned about the national parks. The grizzlies actually, I think, are a little bit more accustomed to people in the national parks than I am some of the other wilderness areas, in particular the Bob in the Bob Marshall Wilderness, just referred to as the Bob, in Montana, which is almost immediately south of Glacier. That's where they put the problem grizzlies from the national park. They put them in the Bob, and it's like 200 miles. I have to hike through problem grizzly area. So yeah, that does have me a little sketched out. So I will be hanging my food, my bear bag. I will be carrying bear spray. I'm actually going to carry bear spray the entire trail. Most people only carry it in grizzly territory. Yeah, back to the mountain lions. Yeah, bear spray. Yeah, I am concerned about grizzlies. Zoby, I honestly don't know. I've never been on trail with Zoby and seen a bear. And I actually think there is something to a very prevalent theory that dogs and bears actually don't get along. Goes back to like wolves and bears not being natural enemies, and bears smell dog and think wolf. And I think a lot of people say that bears can, or that dogs can actually be a deterrent to bears, whether they see them or they smell them. Now, the problem that you hear about, and why dogs usually typically aren't allowed in like national parks and, you know, some state parks and whatnot, is because so many people hike with their dogs off leash, and then the dog and the bear have an altercation. The dog goes running back to its owner, bear follows dog. Yeah. So, it's more about off-leash dogs than actually bears and dogs. But and it's in my, God, Zoby's gonna be 12, if you can believe that. So in my 10 years of hiking with him, I started hiking with him when he was 2, I have never seen a bear on trail with Zoby. Now, I have seen bears when I'm hiking alone without Zoby. I've seen grizzly. I've seen brown and black bears in the east and the west. I've seen moose, you know, other animals, and I don't see them with Zoby. My entire AT thru hike, we saw one bear, and Zoby was in the tent. So I'm hoping, praying, there's something to this theory and we don't have any bear encounters, because I don't know how Zoby will react. He's a good dog. He usually listens when I tell him to settle down, you know, to be quiet. I can always, you know, pick him up and throw him in his little carrier or whatever if need be, if I have time to do that. But I am a little concerned, not gonna lie, but I'm no more concerned than I was hiking the AT, and how is he gonna react if there's a black bear sitting in the trail right in front of me? So, you know, a bear's a bear. They got claws and fangs. So anyway, that's that. That's Zoby and that's Grizzlies. All right. Last question, number 10. How can we support you? If you just watched my last video that I just uploaded on, you know, where have I been? And I'm back, and my big announcement. I got into this a little bit, actually a lot. So same answer to that question is, how can you support me? First thing you can do is you can become a patron. I am going to full vlog the CDT hike, whether it becomes a section hike or actually is a complete through hike. And I may or may not be doing that while I'm on trail. It's really hard to do it while you're on trail. I will try to do, you know, as much as I can, but I'm not going to kill myself and stress myself out to do it. But it is really easy to upload a 2-minute or less video onto my Patreon page for my patrons, or to Instagram in my stories, or, you know, a post on Instagram or Facebook. So if you're not already following me on Instagram and Facebook, Traveling with Tonya, same as it is on here, and would love for you to become a patron. You'll get exclusive behind the scenes or see it first here footage, some pictures and videos I don't post anywhere else. All of the stuff that I did these last 5 months, Arizona, Havasu Falls, Antelope Canyon, hiking in Linville Gorge, in North Carolina, Grandfather Mountain. Like, I've done all kinds of stuff over the last 5 months. All of that will be, you know, patron only exclusives. Some things will get posted to my social media as like flashbacks, but a lot of it will end up going to my patrons. And, you know, you can get that for $5, $10, or $15 a month. And then that is supporting me to be able to continue to bring you adventures. So I really appreciate it. Next thing you can do is buy Zoby's book. Zoby has a book. So it is available on Amazon as an ebook for $10 or a paperback for $15, or you can Venmo me $20 and get a potographed copy, potograph, personalized to whomever you want me to make it out to. The $20 then covers shipping as well. And the potograph, of course, for supplies, and Zoby's growls at me when I potograph. Or he potographs, I should say. And yes, it is also autographed by me, but, you know, everyone wants Zoby's paw. So the book, the other thing you can do with the book is please go leave a review on Amazon, a good one, because that helps with the algorithm to get it in front of other like-minded buyers. And then also sharing it on your own social media, your YouTube, your social media, in like AT groups and forums. That really helps so much. Gets it in front of, you know, people, because I only have, you know, so many friends and followers. Next, I have been working on a website, travelingwithtonya.com. So this is actually a store. So I am going to be selling, and I have a graphic design background, so I've been designing like the cutesy little sayings and the style of designs like you see in like shops all along the AT and outfitters, national parks, things like that all along the way. And I have AT specific at this point. I'll be doing other trails, and I'll be doing like just general hiking, RV life, outdoorsy types of things in the future. But right now there's a bunch of stuff that has these designs on them. Stickers, t-shirts, mugs, kids shirts, like all you name it, like it's out there. So several different designs, varying colors on the shirts, and, you know, whatever you want to put it on. So please check out travelingwithtonya.com. If you're a patron, you get a lifetime discount to your purchases on that site as well. So another perk for becoming a patron. There's also a code on the website for, I think it's 10% off your first purchase. So another thing you can do, share that. Same way that I just talked about social media, your YouTube, all that kind of stuff would be great. So that is a little way that I can have a bit of an income stream to help, again, support my adventures. And the last way to support my adventures is my birthday is next week, June 7th. And I am going to be doing a Venmo sponsor my through hike for lack of a better term, fundraiser. So I'll have different levels, like, you know, $5 is buy me a coffee, you know, $25 is a new pair of socks or a better dinner out on town. $50 is a night at a hostel, you know, and so on. So you can pick a sponsor level and just Venmo me. It's my birthday. Happy birthday. It's a gift. So, yeah, so that's the end of my Q&A. Really appreciate your time, and I will see you here again in the near future.